Hey, okay, here we go. So, if you have a minute, if you want to reach out to your teams, I don't know if you had a chance to communicate to your teams to remind them about the call. I think it'll be really great for as many people as we can to get on live. Um, but the recording will be available. We're not really allowed to share it publicly because it's like her private thing, something that she's doing for us. But we will have a recording available. Okay. Yay. So I wanted to just touch on a couple of things, important things. So number one, about the summit happening in 2020, the summit happening in Nashville. Who got their tickets? Yeah, did you get your tickets for summit? Yes, awesome. So you guys, we were on a leadership call with corporate. It was like for executives and above on Monday. So that was yesterday. And Zach told us, listen to this because this is pretty exciting. So two important things. Number one, we are already breaking records in October. Like this month is going incredibly amazing, and they believe a lot of it is because, I mean, they don't believe it, they know it's because of the momentum from summit last month, which is not news. Like that always happens after the big events, something amazing happens. So it is super important that you guys do everything possible, even the impossible, to be there. Commit to getting your ticket now, and then figure out how to get there, where to stay, what to put in your suitcase, what we're doing Friday night. We'll figure it out at some point. Okay, the important thing is get your ticket, get over there, plan, let your family know that you're going. Okay, Nashville 2020, we gotta be there, we gotta make a lot of noise. The event is not going to be as big as the Utah events are. Like the mini summits are minier, so there won't be two keynote speakers. That's a word, minier. Smaller. There won't be two keynote speakers. There most likely is going to be one. It's going to be fun, and there's going to be announcements and all those things. But what I want you guys to see is like a smaller version of the bigger event, but it's equally important to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've never attended a summit, this is going to create that belief in the company, in the community, in everything. Once you go, if you already attended one of the other events, if you went to summit last month, this next summit is going to create more belief in yourself, and it's going to solidify that you can do it, that you are capable. It's just so good. Plus, we gotta have fun together. You know what I'm saying? There, Tracy, I see you. You're at the gym. I see you. Good girl. I know what you're doing, you guys. No, I'm kidding. And then also, I mean, when Zach said this number, I was like, you're kidding. There's more people registered for this summit already than the people that attended summit last month. What? I know. That's freaking insane. I know. I'm like, what? And this is just the pre-sale of the ticket. So if you guys are there like, I don't know if it's worth it. Well, there's tons of us who are thinking it's worth it, and we're going to get our butts in there. So make sure that, sorry, kids, don't listen to my words. I'm so sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Get your tushies to Nashville, okay? We'll figure out the rest. It doesn't matter what goals we have. It's important that we're there, okay? Okay, what's in the chat? Let me see, just making sure there's a, do you ever about my hubby wants to come? Yeah, take the hubbies. You know what? It's a one-day thing. I mean, think about it. They may get some personal development. Something may spark their fire there. Maybe they all go and have fun while you guys are here, but just the conversations between them creates more of belief. Like if your husbands talk to my husband, they're gonna walk away convinced that Zyia rocks. Like my husband has seen what it's doing for our business, for our family. If they have a conversation with any of the other husbands that are already part of the company, that have been to events, that have seen that, dude, they're going to be so supportive even more of you. And if I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying you have to bring them, you don't, but just saying, because somebody mentioned husbands. Yeah, Jen, he's going, that's awesome. And yes, they are working on getting more rooms in the hotel. There's Airbnbs and all that stuff. One thing that Sag mentioned was like, for Utah last month, they had a bigger block of rooms that weren't used, and when they sign those contracts, they're basically committing. So every room that is not used, they have to pay a fee. So they didn't want to book too many, but as of right now, they're working on a contract to get more rooms. So be on the lookout when that email comes out. Commit to it. It is gonna pay you back, guaranteed. And just, I don't know, sell more leggings and we're fine. Are they going to make a little extra money to get there? They're going to add more rooms. Yeah, they're working on adding more rooms. If you choose to stay at a friend's house or at a Airbnb or another hotel, it's totally fine. They negotiate a discounted rate. And remember, all of these are tax write-offs and all that kind of stuff. So it's totally worth it. Okay, so it's 9:24. Now, one more thing. Do you guys remember earlier, Friday, was it? Last week, earlier this month, about the business, not the business blitz. So we did the business blitz. There are more coming. We just got to get through Cabo. Many of us are headed to Cabo. Some of you are already there. I know Andrea is already like flying to Cabo. I'm so jealous. I know Amanda Griffin is already there from Canada. So proud of you guys. Some of you are flying tomorrow. Some of you are flying Thursday. I can't wait to see you guys. It's going to be an amazing event. I am going to address an elephant in the room. I saw this happen last year, and I want to talk about it because I feel like when there's awareness, we have a better grip at handling things. So listen, I know some of you, many of you, who are not making it, who didn't make it to Cabo. Maybe you were here during the qualification process. You didn't earn it. The fact that you are not in Cabo when Cabo happens doesn't mean, and it was originally Punta Cana, it doesn't mean that you are not good at this, that you're not enough, that you're not worthy, none of that crap. So during those days, when you're gonna see many of us posting pictures and sharing part of that adventure, do not, and I hope you remember these words, do not let that negativity get in your head, because it is going to affect all of your tomorrows unless you block that from your head. Okay, focus on each day as you move forward. If you sit there and you compare yourself to the ones that are there, you're not going to make it to the next trip. You're not going to make it to your goals. So I want you be happy for the ones that are there and commit that to the next trip you're going to be there. Okay, right now there is a qualification for Thailand happening. Many of you guys are going to make it to Thailand. Many of you already earned the trip. Be happy for your sisters and brothers, because we have brothers in the team now. Be happy for them. And that is only telling you, if they can do it, I can do it too, and my time is coming. I've been in your shoes. For like 6 years while I was with my previous company, I sat there time and time again, tears in my eyes, thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to make it to those trips. I'm not good at this. Your time is going to come. You have to keep showing up, and you have to be happy for the rest, okay? Bless and release. The next trip is coming. The next trip will be announced at some point. I wish I could tell you when or where is it going to be at. I don't know, but I know there will be, okay? Yes? Commit to it. I already know that when we come back, many of us are going to be excited, and some people are also going to be like, I didn't make it, I'm sad, sis. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. No, you have to, and that voice is going to be there. You have to tell that voice to shut up, and you got to keep showing up. Yes? Pinky promise? I know, I do a lot of pinky promise. I'm a mom of little ones. We pinky promise stuff. Okay? I know it's gonna happen. It happened last year. It happened last year when we went to the Bahamas. So we got work to do. We gotta finish the year strong. The numbers that corporate is not expecting, but forecasting for November is that we're gonna break all kinds of records. November and December are going to be amazing, but only if we are showing up today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every single day. Okay? November is gonna be epic because of the momentum we continue to maintain this month. Okay. Now, another thing and I'm going to extend your qualification. You guys, this is like Merry Christmas tomorrow. You have until tomorrow to sell something. Sell something tomorrow. Tomorrow we have new releases. If you haven't qualified for the contest that we're going to have for the last 2 weeks of the month, make sure you get in there. It's going to be an exclusive group. There's going to be prizes. There's going to be some training. It's going to be a lot of productivity. If you want momentum in November and December, you have to get in that group. I said I was going to close it on Sunday, and then I said Monday, but I'm like, so nice, I know. And I want you guys to get in there because I really want you guys to see results, to see success, to see growth in the next couple of months. Okay, so all you have to do, sell $25 between today and tomorrow. If you sell leggings to your neighbor and they're leggings that you have, no, that doesn't count, because then it wouldn't make it fair for everybody. There's some of you out there reaching out to people, asking for people, hey, I please support me, I need to qualify for something, I have a challenge for my upline, I want to get in there. I can sell something to my neighbor. Like, do you get the point? So make sure you will get an email, hopefully tonight, the latest tomorrow morning. Those of you who already qualified, which is like 200 of you, you will be getting an email with access to an exclusive group. If you did that from last week until today, if you haven't done it yet, if you haven't sold anything yet and you didn't put your name in there, sell something between today and tomorrow and get your name on there. I'll do a second batch of emails so that you can get in that group. Okay? We're giving away prizes. We're going to be focusing. The intention of the group is to focus mainly on growing. We're going to focus on team growth. Okay? Many of you are already in it. It's like 200 of you. So I know it's going to be pretty epic. And I want to extend that opportunity to many of you who haven't been there, who haven't been able to qualify yet. So put a little pep on your step if you haven't yet, and get in there by tomorrow. And those were the main announcements that I had for you. I want to see do we have, Kindra, are you on the call?
I'm here.
Oh, hi. I don't see you. Let me see. I need to find you. There's like 4 pages.
I don't know how to
Oh, I see you. No, I see you. Hi. Oh my God, you're here.
I'm up here.
Hello, I see you. You're now like speaker view, and now I got all nervous and like, oh my God, what is this?
Oh my gosh, I am where don't get me started. It's nighttime. It's casual. It's casual.
Oh, it's like we're in the living room, right? With all these friends. That's exciting. You guys, so many of our team members know you. Many of you saw you in the same room when we were at our Zyia Summit in September. But for those of you who haven't, for those that haven't heard you live, haven't really gotten to hear your story and get some of your amazing nuggets, I'm going to introduce her and then you'll take it away, Kindra. So,
okay, perfect.
So our guest is a professional and I have to read all of this because it's just epic. Professional storyteller. She's the president and chief storytelling officer at Stellar Collective, a consulting firm focused on strategic application of storytelling to today's business. That's awesome. I just love this. Storytelling is my jam. Her clients include Hilton Hotels, Target, Facebook, Harvard Media School, and Team Impact.
Yes, that's on the list now.
And she's a former director of marketing and VP of sales. She's a contributing editor to Success Magazine, and her book, Stories That Stick, was just released by HarperCollins. It just released last month. Many of you guys here on the team have the book. I don't know if you have it handy, if you have it right there with you. They have the book. I love it. I'm like, you guys need to read this book. She lives in Manhattan. It's so cool. If you guys don't follow her stories, it's so fun. It's like, I just laugh so much watching her stories. It's so fun. So she lives in Manhattan with her husband, her 2 kids, beautiful little boy and beautiful little girl, super precious. And so I asked Kindra to be on our team call because I am just a little daredevil like that. And she said, yes, sure, we'll do it. Let's do it. And she was our keynote speaker at Summit, like I shared with you guys. And I've seen her rocking many stages in different network marketing companies, direct sales companies, plus other events that she goes to. So I thought she's like many of us. She's on the go. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mom. She's super busy making her dreams come true and helping other women and of course men make their dreams come true. And her theme and her strength of sharing stories, like, our business is about sharing stories. We hear this all the time. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I've heard it a lot. Like, stories sell and facts tell. Like, it's the stories. It's how the business is changing us, how the business is impacting our lives, and she's going to talk a lot more about that. But to me, this is so important. I've done some training sometimes, and the first thing that I always talk about is like, you have to share how this is impacting your life. It's not about just sharing a picture of the leggings. It's why, like, what is it doing for you? What is the business doing? So I will just take myself out of the mic now, and Kindra, please, you take the mic away. Rock it as you always do, and thank you so much for saying yes to us and saying yes to your dreams.
Oh, you are the sweetest. And I'm just making sure that all of my devices are turned up. Oh, wait, hold on, my power cord. That's what I was looking at. Real life here. Okay, so we're just hanging out right in the living rooms. But I thank you so much, Paula, for having me here. I'm so happy to be here with all of you, even though it's like super late. I mean, if you're on the East Coast, you should be in bed.
It's like, I know.
No, it's good. We've got this. I couldn't be more excited. I was thinking of you all this morning because I was going to work out, and I was so mad because my leggings were dirty again, and I'm just waiting for my other, like, I just placed a big order, like I'm just waiting for all the rest of them to get there, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. I have to say, like, I love your products. I love them so much, and to the point where even because they just make me feel so, I just feel so strong. Like, and I mentioned this when we were together in Salt Lake, but even, so here's one. Gosh, where were we? Hold on, I was just wearing them recently. I feel like we were traveling together, so I have the like red, like the light and tight with the open pockets on the sides. Can't even remember where it was. We were coming. Oh, I know. No, we were just on vacation. So here we are. We just took a long weekend because it was Columbus Day. Did you all know that it was Columbus Day? Kind of came up as a surprise to me. So I was like, all right, well, let's just go away. We got a 3-day weekend. And I brought my red light and tights with us. We went out to Montauk, which is like the furthest Hampton. It's not even a Hampton because everybody there is just so chill. And I went to spin when I was out there, and I wore and I haven't worked out in a long time. It's been a busy couple weeks, and I haven't really worked out. And I was like, oh gosh, this is not going to look good. And I swear I put those on, and even Michael said, are those tighter than all the other? Like, do they just pull you in tighter than all the other pants that you have, and to have your husband, and he was saying it in like you look hot, is like that was what he meant to say. He was trying to figure out the like
That's
side.
what you hear. That's what we hear.
Yeah. But I was like, that's what he was saying, and I ended up booking a bike right next to the mirror, and I was like riding my bike, and I kept getting distracted by my own self because I was like, ooh, I look good, and that was just the pants. I didn't even wear it because I didn't want to wear it because I have the same red. What is it? The Rockstar? Is it Rockstar? I said this wrong at the All Star. Oh, I always say Rockstar because I feel like a rock star when I wear it. So I had the like bra, but I didn't want. I was like, oh, maybe that's too matchy. So it was only the pants. So anyway, so that is like, and now I'm getting jackets for my kids, and I've got like running shirts for. So first of all, I should start there. I love you. And I love what you offer. And you need to be telling all the people in the world, like they should not be spending their money on any other workout gear. Like this is, and so I'm on this mission with you. Like everybody should be, oh, I was just watching like an old episode of Dancing with the Stars. And the girl was wearing like hot pink tights. And I was like, ooh, I bet those are like tights. So I just watched it tonight. Anyway, that's beside the point. I love you. I'm so happy to be here. And as you already know, and as Paula shared, the other thing, my other great love is storytelling. And I'm so glad that tonight here, while we're together, these two things can collide. And really what I want to do is so there's three big things that I want to cover while we're on the call tonight, and then one bonus thing. First of all, why storytelling is so important for your business, why this is a skill you should be investing in. That's number one. And number two, to talk about the 4 key components that great stories need. And this, as a matter of fact, is something we didn't talk about when we were together in Salt Lake City. So we'll be talking about that. And then lastly, we didn't talk about this either. I want to give you a few specific do's and don'ts for storytelling, specifically on social media, because I feel like that's where so many of our storytelling, of our stories get shared now, is on social media. So that's the overview. That's what my goals are for tonight. But before we get into any of that, I feel like it's really important that we go back to the beginning of, for me, where this all started, so you can understand it a little bit better. I told my first story when I was 11. So I found what I was like meant to do at 11 years old. We were supposed to, it was an assignment for 5th grade. We were supposed to go into a 3rd grade classroom and read a book to them, like read a kid's book. And I remember walking into the classroom, and I grew up in Minnesota. And it was the end of the year. It was like springtime. So we were seeing the sun for the first time in like 10 months, because Minnesota, brutal, just tough. Okay. So that's number one. And number two, it was at the end of the day. So all the 3rd graders were like out of their minds. They were just crazy. They were bouncing off the walls. The teacher just wanted to put them on a bus, send them home, and enter Kindra. Like, this is when I was supposed to like go read them a book. Like, it wasn't going to happen. So I decided, last minute decision, to put the book down and just tell the story. And it took 3 sentences. 3 of them, just a total of 3 sentences. And I held the 3rd graders in the palm of my hand. Like, they were all right there. And I remember looking around the room and thinking to myself, like, hold on. Did I just figure something out? Like, is this big? I feel like this is big. I feel like, because it's really hard, right, to get people's attention, to get them to listen with all the other distractions, and how do you get everybody to hear your voice, to listen to your message? What if all it takes is telling a good story? So I tested this theory, and I tested it at birthday parties. I told stories. I became the entertainment at my Bible school. But then when I was in high school, I tested it on my parents. It was a little bit higher stakes. Like, if I wanted to stay out past curfew, I wouldn't just say, like, this is unreasonable. You never stay out late enough. Why are you so mean to me? I will never forgive you. Instead, I told them the story. True stories. Your story should always be true, just a side note. True stories of why I wanted to stay out later, why I thought I just needed 2 extra hours, who was going to be there, what we were celebrating. And I always got the extension. And then in college, like we had to write these huge, remember in college, it was all about writing the papers. Like how long could they make the paper be? So I'd always start my paper with a story, and then I would end the paper with a story and put the information in the middle. Although there was one time I remember I was supposed to write this big research paper, but I never really got around to doing the research. So I just kind of wrote a big, long story and hoped that the teacher wouldn't notice. But I did get a note on the paper that said, well, she appreciated the story. This was not a creative writing class. So I learned the limitations of stories. Like if it requires research, fine, you got to put a little bit of that in there. But then I went on to become a director of marketing and VP of sales. And I found that this hobby, this default, the storytelling default that I just kind of come to since I was a kid, became increasingly valuable in business. And I think the final straw of the power of storytelling came outside of business, in fact. It was several years ago. I was a spin instructor. So I taught spin class, which if you haven't been to a spin class, I mean, I don't recommend you start now. It's torture. It's not a pleasant, like they make you wear these special shoes. They call them spin shoes. I just call them feet prisons. Like they just, like you get, like I was just at a spin class this weekend when I was wearing the pants. And she said, do we have anyone brand new in here? And a couple people in the back raised their hands. And she was like, okay, so if at the end of the class, you can't get your shoes out of the pedals, just unclip it, just unvelcro the shoes and just leave the shoes in the bike. Yeah, it's torture. So weird. But anyway, so I was teaching spin class, and I don't know if you've ever had to teach a spin class, but not only, it's intimidating for many reasons. One of which you have to help people exercise. Helping people exercise is hard. You have to help them see past their pain to want to keep spinning, which is hard. It's also hard because like the room could be empty. The room could be empty. Imagine throwing a birthday party for yourself or your kid or your spouse or your friend and nobody shows up. Like that is just a weekly happening when you're teaching spin class. Like you can be up in the front and like playing all this music and nobody's there. That's terrifying. And then the final straw of teaching a spin class is the music. Because if people don't like your music and they're critical about your music, they're mean about your music, they're not going to come. And I just wasn't sure. I was always intimidated. I didn't know if people would like my music. I didn't know if they'd want to spin to Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Spice Girls. Spice Girls had some great. So what I would do, because I needed to be true to myself, I'm not going to play music that I don't relate to. That's inauthentic. So I would just tell a story. I would just tell a story before all the songs. One of the songs I remember was Kylie Minogue. Can't Get You Out of My Head. Do you remember that song? Very poppy, very obnoxious, but it's a great spin. It's got a good beat. And I remember before I played that song, I told the story of before I was even dating my now husband, Michael. He and I worked together. And I remember walking in like on the first day of work and being like, oh, there you are. The man I've been searching for my whole life. Like, I will marry you. There you, thank goodness. So happy that you finally showed up. I knew right away. He did not know right away. That was his own fault. So I just spent several months letting him know that he was going to marry me. And on one particular day, the boss came into the office and was like, hey, we need somebody to go pick Michael up from the airport. And I was like, I'm kind of busy. No, I'll do it. And I started like elbowing everybody else out of the way. I'm like, I got this. I'll go get him. It's okay. because I thought maybe if he was like contained in my car, he would realize that he was in love with me too. So I pulled up, oh, poor guy. I pulled up to the airport in my silver Grand Am, and I rolled down the windows. Now they were automatic, but there wasn't one button that rolled them all down at once. So I had to like do this weird like claw thing and roll all four of them down just as he was pulling up with his little roller bag to the curb. And I queued up my CD player to the song, Just Can't Get You Out of My Head, Kylie Minogue. So as he sat down in the seat next to me, I turned up the volume on the chorus. And it said, I just can't get you out of my head. Boy, your loving is all I think about. Because I wanted to be subtle. I wanted to subtly let him know that I was thinking about his loving. It was weird. It was all, when you think about it, I mean, how embarrassing. It was a funny story. It was a true story. Your story should always be true. And I told that story, and then we played the song, and we all spun to it, and it was great. Now, over time, my empty spin glass started to fill up. And honestly, it didn't take very long. And by the end, like a couple weeks in, the class was sold out. People had to get to class like 45 minutes early just to get a bike, and it didn't really make any sense to me. Honestly, it didn't make any sense to me because I am not the best athlete. I do not have the best form on the bike. I'm not the best motivator, and my music is questionable at times. But at the end, when I retired from teaching spin, yes, I am now a retired spin instructor. The feedback I got was, we're going to miss your classes, but most of all, we're going to miss your stories. And even a couple of weeks ago, we had a party for the book Stories That Stick in Phoenix, which is where I taught spin. And I had people, like a lot of the people there were people who had come to my spin classes. And they started like telling stories back to me of stories that I told about songs that I'd completely forgotten about the song. I had forgotten about the story, but they remembered. And the reason I share that with you is because, like, beyond this being like a fitness clothes company, far beyond that, is that it would be easy to think, and I'm sure you've had those moments where you've seen people and their successes, leaders in the company, and you're like, how? What is it about them that like just draws people in, that makes them want to be a part? Like, why is it so easy for them? And I want to solve that mystery, because I'm sure people were thinking that about me and my spin class, and like, why were people, why? And it isn't like some innate talent. It isn't some special mystery. All it is a choice. And it's a choice to tell stories. Because if you're telling stories are what people want to hear. Stories are what keep them coming back. Stories are what draw them to you. Stories are what we want as humans. And as far as I know, right now, you're only providing clothing for humans, right? So good. As soon as you switch over to robot gear, then maybe we have something else to talk about. But this is what people want. This is how we feel connected. This is how we make sense of our own lives. This is how we find enjoyment, is through stories. And so if you're looking to grow your business and draw people to you, that whole, well, why would I share nobody wants to hear my stories, that doesn't work anymore. The stories are what will bring them. The stories are what will fill the bikes in your class and fill your teams with eager, open, excited, committed people. So that's where I want to start, is right there. Like, mystery solved. What you need are stories. And sometimes it really is just that simple. Like, I know, so I taught what time? My class was at 9:30 on Sundays. And the 8:45 class on Sundays was taught by this like legendary instructor. Like people have been going to that class forever. And over time, like her attendance was like up here, and it just kind of went, and people got mad and they couldn't figure out why. I was like, well, I'm not going to tell them it's the stories, but I am going to tell you that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why storytelling is so important. Number one, two reasons. Number one, story has the ability to communicate the innate ability to communicate the true value of what it is you have to offer. Okay, because you're not just offering leggings, you're not offering sports bras, you're not offering golf gear, and you're not offering things at a discounted price. Here's the deal. Like I went to spin this morning because I still spin. I spent $35 because that's how much SoulCycle costs. It's ridiculous. And then I wanted to get a good bike, so I spent an extra $15. I thought that meant I spent $40. I'm not really good at math. I spent $50 on my spin class this morning, not including the cab ride to get there, not including the water I had to buy once I got there. Like, what the hell was I thinking spending that much money on a spin class? But here's the thing. We don't make these decisions based on logic. People don't buy more expensive clothing than what you offer based on logic. They buy it because of how it makes them feel, right? So just going on the technology of what the pants can do, or the price of that is lower, because I know the price is lower. Like I felt like I was getting a screaming deal when I placed my order. But we don't make decisions on price. We justify our decisions on price. I justified the handful of leggings that I bought the other day on price, but that's not what drove me to buy them. That's not what drove me to say yes to them. So the only way you can communicate the true value of not the only way, but the best way to communicate the true value of what it is you have to offer is to tell them stories so that what you have to offer is irresistible to them. Like, who doesn't want to, oh gosh, I have this story. I should post this story. I don't know where it is. I have this story of my first workout class post having my first child. I haven't told this story before, so this is new. So I have to tell you, I was an overachiever when it came to pregnancy and weight gain. I gained 80 pounds, 75 pounds with my first child. That is a lot. I don't care who you are. That's a lot. Like, isn't it supposed to be 25? I remember my doctor being like, wow, we are just, here we go. You are so far ahead. Right? Like, and so I remember I had the baby. He was like 8 pounds, 7.5 pounds. I came home. I had lost like 7.5 pounds. I was like, wait a minute. I thought I was going to lose all 70 pounds. So I went to a Zumba class shortly thereafter. I wore like 5 different sports bras all at once. And I put on this like these maternity leggings and this big, I remember it's this big oversized, like super cheap, disgusting tank top over all the sports bras. And I got to the Zumba class. I'd never done a Zumba class before, and I stood in the way back. And at one point in the Zumba class, I caught this glimpse of this woman in the mirror. I was like, who is that beast stomping around in the back of the room? And it was me. It was me, right? Like I had just, compare that to how I felt the other day when I was like, and I really truly believe, because you know what the first thing that I did was, is I was like, this old stretched out maternity tank top, this is not acceptable workout gear. So I went in and I would shop, and I went to a athletic clothing store and I bought myself a set of clothes to wear through my transition, because when I looked in the mirror at a workout class, I wanted to feel good about what I saw, right? And you can't, like, how do you put, like, the only way to communicate what that feels like is through a story. So that's number one, is communicating the value of what it is that you have to offer. And not only that, but like, gosh, think about the story that this whole company is based on. Like, this women lifting women, like, but how do you express the value of that? You tell the story of a time another woman lifted you because you felt down. We've all had that magical experience. And if we haven't, oh, do you hear the horns honking? Welcome to New York. I'm surprised Taylor Swift didn't have those sound effects in the background. Ooh, I wonder if that's a good spin song. Nevertheless, communicates value. Number two, the reason that storytelling is so, I told you, we're going to take, this is much more casual than what you saw the other night. I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock. It's past my bedtime. Way past my bedtime. All right, so number two, make no mistake. People are buying you. The other reason storytelling is so important is because people aren't just buying the clothes. They can buy the clothes anyway. They're not just buying the opportunity. You have plenty of competition when it comes to the gig economy and additional income. They're buying and saying yes to you. How many of you kind of stalked? We'll say watched because I think stalking is illegal. Watched the person that you signed up under for a while before finally saying yes. Anyone? Raise your hand. Yeah, right? Like, you watch them on social media, you're like, what is she up to? What does she do? What is this all about? Why does she always look so cute? Well, she's doing this athleisure thing like a boss, right? You watched her and you stood at a distance until finally you said yes. Know that this is happening to you on a daily basis. And people are asking themselves, what's she up to? What's she about? Do I like her? Do I trust her? Do I feel like I know her? Am I connected to her? How many of you have felt connected to a person on social media that you've never met before, but you kind of feel like your friends, and wasn't it because of a story that they shared about themselves? Like, there was one post, you can even go back 5 years and you were like, ooh, yeah, there was something about that post that just really, I was there with her. I really felt it. Okay. So remember, we say yes to people we know, or we feel like we know, people we feel like we're connected to. How do we feel connected to people? Well, you have the option of over the course of time. You have the option of over, like several little casual interactions, or you have the option of hearing one story from that person to be like, she's my people. That's my people. That is why stories are so important, because in one story, you can communicate that you are somebody's person. They will feel like they know you. They will feel deeply connected to you, all because you shared a story. So those are just two of the reasons why storytelling is so incredibly important to this business. Wait, Paula, hold on. I'm going to look this up. 9:30. So we only have 15 minutes left. We only have 15 minutes left, right?
Did something show up that says that?
Well, I looked at my calendar, but we can go over if you want to.
Oh,
I'm
whatever you want.
What you want to do. I just feel like I just have been telling you all the stories.
The majority of the team is on it's like 8 o'clock for them.
Oh,
9
easy.
o'clock, like
Early.
7. They haven't even had dinner. Yeah. We're the ones here, just like a handful of us. We're like, oh my God, we're past our bedtime, but we're fine. It's totally worth it. So you keep, 4 p.m. Look at that, Hawaii.
It's 4 o'clock.
4 p.m. Yeah, look, 7 p.m. Yeah.
I'm gonna hold that in my head. It is cool. Okay, good. Okay, well, we'll keep you. I don't want to keep you on here all night or all day, according to Hawaii. You could go on and go to a luau after this. But so there's just a few of the reasons why storytelling is so important. Now, what I want to do is something that we didn't talk about when we were together in Salt Lake City, but something that I do cover in great detail in Stories That Stick. Listen, that's the real thing. Do you hear it? Did my mom used to always test things to be like, is this glass? And she would tap it on her teeth. Oh, I just ruined that book with my spit, didn't I? Okay, so something that I talk about more more in depth in stories that stick. But I feel like the next question is always like, well, okay, but how or what? At least what? Like, what does a good story need? So what I'm going to do for you here is outline the 4 key components that every story needs to be more compelling, to be more entertaining, to be more persuasive and influential, to be more memorable. The 4 key components. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to list each one, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about each one in a little bit more depth. And I say that because I can already tell that all of you have already written on your paper 4 key components. Yes, didn't you write that? Yeah, I know. See, I love you. We are all, So I'm going to tell you the 4, so leave a little bit of space so you can make notes about each one of them. Okay, so the first one is identifiable characters. That's the first key component. The second one is authentic emotion. The third one is a moment. And the fourth one is specific details. So these are the things your stories need to have. And if they have them, and the more of them they have, the better. So let's start at the top. And these really are in no particular order, but let's start with identifiable characters. So this is where you actually have an advantage over the bigger brands. Hilton Hotels has a hard time. They just think about the big brand, and it's hard for them to tap into the individual characters and their stories that led up to building a bigger brand. But you are intimately connected with the characters in your potential stories, whether those be customers, whether they be friends, or oftentimes your stories are going to be about you, which is awesome. So that's easy. But I want you to be able to take it to another level, because we don't just want identifiable characters. We want characters we can identify with. We want those characters that we're like, ooh, I get her, or she's like me, or that's my people, or I felt that way before, or I understand her. She would understand me. So for example, when I told you the story about spin class earlier, I could have very easily said, I used to teach spin class, and I was always really nervous about the music that I played. It was super intimidating. And so before every song that I played, I would tell a story, which would have been acceptable. But don't you feel like you know me a little bit better, or know me more in depth, because I told you that the music that I played was NSYNC and Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys, right? And the Spice Girls? Like, don't you know me better? You know more about me and the kind of person I am because I shared those nuances. So be thinking about that. What are the nuances about you or a character in your story, whether it's a friend or a customer? Maybe it's something that they wore, or a physical description, or a personality quirk specific to the decade in which they grew up. Like, how many of you had a pink Razor phone? Did anyone else have a pink Razor? Yeah, I know. I died for that pink Razor phone. We switched carriers for that pink Razor phone, right? So those little nuances that give a more complete picture of the character. So that's number one. Number two of the components is authentic emotion. Now, keep in mind, I said authentic emotion, not big emotion, not dramatic emotion, not tragic emotion. And this is where I feel like stories, there's a misunderstanding about what stories count. So for example, one night, 2 stories in my life, just 2 weeks ago. It was a Wednesday night, and it was the night that I found out whether or not I made the New York Times bestseller list. And authors, that's always the goal. Like, there's all these other lists, and we were really excited we were a Wall Street Journal bestseller and USA Today and Publishers. Like, we hit all these bestseller lists, but the crown jewel is the New York Times bestseller list. And you always find out on a Wednesday night if you made it. And I was in Nashville. I was traveling. My parents were watching the kids because I made Michael come with me. Because whether I made the list or whether I didn't make the list, I didn't want to be alone. So he came with me to Nashville, and we got the news. I didn't make the list. Oh, we sold so many books. We sold so many more books than the people on the list, but we didn't make the list. And I don't know about you, if you've ever set like a big goal in your business, whether it's like to rank up or achieve a trip but that was, as far as emotions go, like that's about as big of a failure professionally as I had ever faced. So there's that emotion, that story. But there's another story that night, another emotion. We went out to dinner. We were at a steakhouse. We went to a steakhouse. I think it's called Kane, but it's spelled like Kanye. So we just call it Kanye. That sounds cooler. So we went to Kanye Steakhouse, and they like walked us over to the booth, and the booth was made for like 7 people, but there was only, or like 10 people, but there was only 2 of us. And at first Michael sat all the way on the other side of the booth from me, and he was like, hello. Like we were at some formal, and I was like, just get over here and sit by me. And you know, we ordered drinks, and we ordered appetizers, and it was a candle lit, and the waitress came over and was like, what are you celebrating? And I was like, I'm celebrating. I wrote a book is what we're celebrating. But then I checked my email, which that was my fault. But there was an email from our daughter's teacher that went out to all of the parents, the whole class. And it said, just as a reminder, any changes in your child's pickup are not to be emailed. They are to be printed out or handwritten in a letter that is signed and dated by the parent. Thank you very much. And I looked at Michael and I was like, hey, Michael, remember when I asked you to like print out a letter and put it in the kids' folders that my parents are going to be picking them up while we're out of town? And he was like, yeah. I was like, did you print out that letter or did you email it? He was like, yeah, I emailed that letter. You guys, I know the email to the whole class was because of us. Like we emailed, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. I just couldn't, like it was so, and I'm, you know, and like we're hustling, like I'm not ever there, like working mom, traveling mom, like I'm never there to pick up or drop off. Like they don't, as far as they know, I don't even know I have kids. Like it was, and I mean, okay. So let's look at the emotions in these 2 stories. Huge, tragic, professional failure. And the emotion of shame and embarrassment of a parent. How many of you had a hashtag parent failed like this week or today, as a matter of fact? Right? Like that is, so here's what I'm saying to you. Authentic emotion, small emotion, like those day-to-day, like big, like minor missteps or modest triumphs, and the feelings that you feel about those are all valid and should be included in your stories, and all of them matter and all of them count. All right. So number 3, that's authentic emotion. Number 3 is a moment. Your stories need to have a specific moment. And there's a lot more detail about this in Stories That Stick. So I'm not going to go deep in that here. But ultimately, instead of just talking about your stories in a general sense, like bring them to a specific place and time. Set the scene. Draw the people in based on where and when it happened. Like how many of you, when I was just telling you that very small story right there, were picturing like a steakhouse? Did any of you picture like a steakhouse in a booth? Yeah, how many of you were sitting in the booth with us? I kind of hoped that you were, because it was room for enough for all of us, okay? Like that was fine. But putting them in a specific place and time so that they can picture that's what a moment is all about. And it's a very powerful component in telling your stories. And the last component, number 4, is specific details. Ultimately, our goal with all of these is to draw people into what I call the co-creative process, to have them picturing the story and seeing themselves in the story. So the story is no longer about you, it's actually about them. Specific details is the final way to make that happen. So here's a little quiz for you. How many of you, and this was a long time ago that I mentioned it, but I want you to open up your chat. Get ready. There's a quiz. You didn't know it was coming. But I want you to think back to earlier this call when I was telling you the story about spin class and telling you the story about picking Michael up from the airport. Question, what kind of car was I driving? If you remember, put it in the chat. Silver Grand Am. Look at that. Right away. I didn't even finish. Look at that. Oh my gosh, you guys are so good. Nice. Silver Grand Am. Everyone, gray grand. That's every once in a while someone will write Silver Grandma. That's not. Yeah, Pontiac Silver Grand Am, right? So I bet you, Ashley, did you have a Grand Am? Yeah, she knows. She probably did because she's like, yep, Pontiac. I didn't know. Right. So here's the thing. You didn't know. You did not know at the time that I said that your brain, yeah, like look at that your brain would pick up on that. You didn't know, oh, I love that everybody's like talking about their Grand Ams. You didn't know. You didn't know that because you didn't realize when I included that detail that that's a detail that you would remember. I knew that. I knew that I could ask you 45 minutes later if you remembered the kind of car I was driving, and you would. So keep that in mind as you're telling your stories and you're trying to make them, you want them to be memorable. You want them to stand out. You want people to engage in that co-creative process to include, oh, so Ashley wanted a Grand. That's probably why you remembered what kind it was. It was even more serious to you because you didn't have one. But those specific details will drive that process. All right, so I told you I had a few do's and don'ts and then one little additional bonus. So I'll be quick on those because I know those of you in Hawaii have got to go get dinner. You're probably starving by now. All right, so here are a few do's and don'ts about storytelling. Oh, particularly on social media, because I think social media is such an important place to be telling our stories. And speaking of, I'm putting into the chat right now my social media handles. So on Instagram, I am at Kindra Hall. So come find me there. I tell lots of stories there. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Kindra Hall fan, which just shows how long I've been on Facebook. Because remember back when you would like become a fan of a page? I know. I might as well just give you my MySpace handle, which I don't have it anymore. I'm pretty sure I deleted it. I hope I deleted my MySpace. Don't go looking for it. All right, so I want to give you a few do's and don'ts, especially on social media. And I think social media, for all the things that is wrong with social media, and there are plenty of things, I think one of the beautiful things about social media, one of the incredible opportunities that all of us have, is it is the perfect place to share our stories. The small stories that make people's lives seem more meaningful and more valuable and worth sharing. So few do's and don'ts, just two actually, three. 2 don'ts, 1 do. First don't. Don't think that all of your stories when you're posting on social media have to be about Zyia. All right? They don't. They don't always have to be about the product. They don't always have to be about the Zyia opportunity. They don't always have to be about the incredible Zyia community. They can be about other things. Remember, people are buying you, so they want to know you, the whole you. So if you are the world's greatest aunt, you can tell those stories. If you are single and dating, definitely tell. I would tell those stories now if I could. That would be, heck, I would tell them anyway. I'm gonna write a whole book about my dating stories. Let's be serious. If you're an avid runner, tell those stories. If you're a gardener, tell those stories. Tell the stories that are outside of your immediate business. It's a great way to give them the full 360 perspective of who you are. So that's one of the don'ts. The second don't is even more important than the first, and that is don't. In fact, it's not even a don't. It's a do not. Do not ever compare your story to someone else's. Ever. I feel like this is, they always say that comparison is the thief of joy, and it is the murderer of storytelling. When you're like, oh, well, I had this failure. I'm really disappointed about this, but I'm not going to share it because somebody else had a much worse thing happen to them the other day. What? No, there's so many different ways to feel pain. So share your stories. Or, oh, wow, I had this awesome success, but I'm not going to share that because so-and-so had a much bigger success. So who am I to even be celebrating this little success that I have? No, doesn't matter. Because there are people out there that are experiencing small pain and minor success, And you telling your story will validate their story, which will bring more meaning to everybody's lives and make the world a better place. Too much? No, I don't think so. So don't compare your stories. Tell your stories. And also, in addition to that, don't let anybody tell you what stories you can and cannot tell or how you should. I had a woman, oh my gosh, I had a woman write me. I'm fortunate. I don't get a ton of like trolls and haters. I get some creepy guys, but that's about it. I had a woman tell me that she was disappointed in me because when I posted my caption and I told my story, I didn't mention Columbus Day. And imagine what Columbus went through to discover our country. And I was like, no, you do not get to tell me what stories I get to. No, block. I blocked her. It was over. I'm like, you don't know. So don't compare yourself and don't let anybody else tell you what stories you can and cannot tell. Okay. And the final thing that I want to share with you is one big do. And this is kind of a maybe a throwdown challenge. Throwdown. You know, I'm super aggressive. You can tell. Challenge. Do this. Do it tomorrow. Tell a story tomorrow. Now, again, it is a lot easier to just post up a couple word post, right? Like a simple sentence, something silly or light and fluffy. But when you start posting your stories, and sometimes it takes some time to gain some traction, watch until you see the engagement go up. So here's one little prompt that I'll give you. It's fall now, allegedly, in Arizona. I'm in New York. It's fall. Well, it was hot today, but tomorrow, allegedly, it's supposed to be fall. And I know there's like new fall. Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. That's when the new stuff comes out, right? Right? So, okay. So if any of it has a fall theme, you go ahead and you like post the picture of the new thing that came out and then tell your favorite memory, your favorite fall memory. Like how many of you have a favorite fall memory? Like a favorite activity that you would do in the fall? Think back on that. And it can be anything. So think about a favorite activity and then think back to a favorite memory. For example, one of my favorite fall memories happened when I was a freshman in high school. And again, this is kind of, it has a different tone to it, but I was a freshman in high school and there was this boy. I mentioned him in Stories That Stick. And his name was Andy, and he was just the most beautiful boy, and everybody loved him. He was the most popular boy. He was so cool, and he was just, and he never noticed me ever, whole life, never noticed me until that freshman year fall. And somehow something happened, and suddenly he noticed me. And then one day, it was a Friday night, it was a football game, and the air was like wet and crisp, but not so cold that it hurt. But just that fall, and the sky was pitch black, but the football lights were on the, high school football field, and it was all festive, and I was sitting up in the bleachers, and I was kind of warm because I was wearing my marching band uniform because I was in the marching band, and it was kind of warm, yeah. And I remember the varsity team was playing, and Andy was the quarterback of the freshman team, so they were already done, and he was walking down in front of the bleachers, and he was kind of looking up. And I remember sitting there thinking, I wonder if he'll see me. I wonder if he'll notice me. I wonder if he'll see me. And all of a sudden, he like looked up. And he had these like really blue eyes. He kind of winked at me a little bit. And then he kept walking. And I just felt so special. And that's it. That's the story. Like, there's nothing else to it. But yeah, I mean, but that was like my favorite. Like, fall. I know fall is actually not a time of new beginnings, but for me, I feel like it is, and it gives me that like hope and that giddiness and that excitement every time fall rolls around. So that's, so think about that. What's a favorite fall memory, a favorite fall moment, and share that along with the picture of whatever you were planning to post tomorrow. So there are my do's and don'ts. Now there is one last little thing that I want to tell you about, and that is if you were at the conference, you heard about this. But right now, hold on, I'm typing something, which is hard to type in front of 100 people. Storiesthatstick.com. Okay. So I mentioned that my new book, Stories That Stick, is now out. I'm so excited. The feedback has been coming back, and it's great. And I'm kind of overwhelmed and really thrilled. And I would love for you to have a copy because there's so much more that we didn't discuss here tonight. And look, I'm already like way over time of what we were supposed to be. So thanks for hanging in there with me. But here's what I want to do. If you have ordered, or if you do order your copy of Stories That Stick, and you can get it in a hardcover, you can get it in Audible. I voiced the Audible, so you'll just get to hear more of my voice. You can get it on Kindle. I don't care how you get it. You can get it on Amazon.com. You can get it at BarnesandNoble.com. You can get it at Target.com. If you get it at Target.com, you will end up buying more things than you meant to. So just fair warning. That's just how Target works. I don't know that's how it goes. But if you ordered the book, if you have ordered the book, screenshot a confirmation that you got the book, or if you have ordered it, just like take a selfie of yourself holding the book. And then I want you to go to this website. I put it in the chat. It's directselling.storiesthatstick.com. So direct selling, all one word, .storiesthatstick.com. So Stories That Stick is all one word, .com. Go to that website, enter your info, upload the image that you ordered the book, and I am going to send you a bookmark because, save the pages. I don't know. Seems like a worthy cause. So I'll send you a bookmark. I'm also going to send you this. This is a signature. That's my signature, but I'm going to write your name on it right here. And I'll write you a little note right here. And then you can peel off the back and stick it in your book when it gets there, so you have a signed copy. Now, if you get the Audible or the Kindle, I don't know, just stick it on your purse or on your head or whatever. But you'll have a signed copy. And then also the last final straw is I have an online training all about storytelling in direct selling. So it's modules, it's worksheets. There's an ebook that goes along with it that if you look on Amazon, it used to be in print. It's no longer available. It's only available through this online course. It's a $40 value, which you get for free. So go ahead and order Stories That Stick. You get this $40. You make 20 bucks. Wow. I didn't think about that. You make 20 bucks. That's it. That's it. Yay. Okay. So I hope you get the book. I hope you enjoyed our time together as much as I did. I hope my order hurries up and gets here. I cannot wait. I got the black bra and I got the, I think it's a leopard pants. Black. I don't know. It's going to be amazing. I just can't wait. I don't even know what I got. I'm already going to go get more. So thank you so much, Paula, for having me here as a part of your team. Thank you, all of you, for being here with me. Go get some sleep.
Thank you so much to the stories. I'm like, this is exciting. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, especially my late ones, East Coasters, for being here. Thank you, Kindra, so much. Remember the homework for tomorrow. Tag her. I'm pretty sure she'll have a blast reading all our stories.
I love it.
So exciting. I will.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Kindra, thank you so much. Bye.